Fit, active, healthy, happy, enjoying the prime of your life. Looking out for your health and wellness, this is Health Talk with Fred Lowry from Lowry Drug in Statesville. Visit Fred at his store, conveniently located on Hartness Road in Statesville.
Good afternoon. This is Fred Lowry, pharmacist and doctor of natural medicine from Lowry Drug in Statesville. And this is Health Talk, pre-recorded for July the 24th, 2026. This program is intended to share knowledge and information based on my research and experience. It's not intended to offer individual advice, nor does it replace a one-on-one relationship with a qualified healthcare professional. Your daily choices are yours and have more to do with your health than anyone in the healthcare field. My hopes are that this show will empower you with knowledge to take a more proactive approach to your health. I do have many sources. I'll try to mention them as I move through them. Today we're going to talk about maybe a subject that's a little uncomfortable. It relates to dying and how the medical system treats that, medicalized death, if you will, healing, some things around informed consent and predetermined healthcare power of attorneys, advanced directives, that kind of thing. It's, things that are important. And so before we do that, though, just as an announcement, we're just before the back-to-school time. The organization Children's Health Defense has built a back-to-school toolkit that has information related to vaccines, informed consent, food safety, things around digital IDs, electronic medical records in schools, school lunches, etc. It actually started 7/21 and 7/22 with vaccine exemptions, followed by informed consent, but restarts Monday the 27th with the digital ID and consent forms parents sign and more. They probably will have a link to look at the other ones if you so choose. So along the lines of this concept of a medicalized death, which basically kind of means how the culture and the system of death in this country has kind of moved towards the medical system being in charge of that. It's an interesting topic, one that maybe is uncomfortable for some, but we, that is part of our companion, I guess. You might look at it as death is our life's companion. And so I recall in high school, a very unusual English class that I had as a senior. The English teacher did a kind of a section on death, which include literature that had to do with death. It was involved field trips to mortuaries and the cemetery. It sounds kind of morbid, but I think all the students actually enjoyed it. It was an interesting project, to say the least, but nonetheless, that was maybe the first formalized program that I had run into. And of course, we all are familiar with end-of-life type things with hospice. This was some time ago an article that I noticed on Mercola about how to reclaim a better way to die. And so there was an article in Time 2016, and it just kind of highlighted that while doctors spend most of their lives in hospitals, more of their lives there than anyone, they don't really want to die there. Obviously, I don't think anybody would want that by choice, but they prefer to die at home. I'm not sure that that's a revelation to anyone. But nonetheless, uh, it's something that I think we would all say we prefer to die at home. And most patients don't realize that the overall survival rate with hospitalization and when there's a resuscitation, which maybe go against your advanced directives, is a very small success rate. Maybe 23% make it in the hospital, 23 to 25%, and outside the hospital, it's only about 10% that make that. So there's this concept that our society has put the medical system maybe in the role of what they say are priests per se. I'm not sure that that's an accurate description, but there are. Once you're in the hospital, then is there a consultation about on life and death from individuals that may or may not be qualified to do that? So, I mean, I think I feel that medicalized death should be avoided, and some of that kind of gets into what happens with a cancer diagnosis, for instance, and do you go the chemo and radiation route? And there's always this drive or this desire to do something, and sometimes doing something might be the wrong thing. There's certainly consequences from making a decision to move forward with a treatment. There are consequences related to not making a decision. But I think the point of that is it's okay to decide to wait. It's okay to decide to maybe not treat something. And there are individuals out there that do that, particularly if it's maybe a difficult cancer diagnosis, or and there's many that have experienced what that means through a family member. Don't want to experience that, but I can tell you that I'm pretty sure that most people maybe don't completely know what decision they'll make when faced with that. Myself, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to go down the route of chemo radiation, but I'm also going to recognize that I've never been faced with that, and so I'm not going to make that judgment for myself right now or anyone else. So I think that this concept of maybe death at home is something we all would like, but then now we have none of us want to be a burden on our loved ones, and that's another thing, another issue. So we're going to get into maybe what really matters, how we're going to frame this, how we're going to face this, and in a context that hopefully will be helpful to you. Stay tuned for more Health Talk. This is Fred Lowry. Welcome back to Health Talk. This is Fred Lowry, pharmacist and doctor of natural medicine. Of course, with Steely Dan, Are You Reeling in the Years? Maybe somewhat appropriate for this topic, the subject matter. Of course, we're never promised tomorrow, so we don't know how things are going to go, and but nonetheless, I think it's good to be somewhat mentally prepared, and we will get into some of the concepts of healthcare power of attorney and predetermined decisions that may help things go better, hopefully. So when we get into what really matters, and this is something that we maybe contemplate somewhat daily, probably not, but nonetheless, I think it's important to focus on what matters to us, things that are important. There's a lot of distractions out there, and it's so easy to get wrapped up in that. But many people do carry belief systems that are implanted in them that probably don't bring joy or happiness. And it's frequently, I think, at the end of life, or when people start thinking about some of the things, the unhealthy things that happen, people start to realize maybe what actually matters to them. I think hopefully that happens long before that, particularly as people get into the retirement age and what people want. But what it boils down to at any age, I think what most people would like is that we are able to live in a manner that is healthy and active and productive for whatever time we've got left on the planet. So helping positively impacting others' lives. The opposite end of this are individuals that apparently have hurt others over their lifetime or mentally tortured by it, particularly in death. So being authentic and living true to oneself rather than suppressing who they were to succeed, expressing what they want to share with people, love or regret, whatever that may be. Being close to family, friends who genuinely care about them, obviously very important. Pursuing meaningful things with depth rather than being trapped in society's insane distractions. Taking time to care for their body and their health rather than overexerting themselves in societal rat race. We're in an age now that we probably have a lot of the worst situations in terms of toxicity around us, food and all kinds of things. But we're also, on a positive note, in a situation where we have the most information now to be able to optimize our health, and that involves making choices. So, the system basically reinforces medicalized death. So, being in the hospital process, you're likely to be in situations that you may or may not be able to make your own decisions. So one of the, under the topic of consciousness and death, one of the major tensions in our culture has been the materialistic side of science, so which rejects aspects of our existence. And so we have this mechanistic model that can explain some phenomena, but it really falls short on aspects of the human experience interwoven with spiritual issues. So it's an explanation of consciousness and intuition. A belief was adopted that all neurons in the brain allow it to function as a magical supercomputer, and because of that, consciousness spontaneously arises, along with it subconsciously giving birth to key aspects of the human experience. So, that basically it just means that everything that's happening to you is in your brain. It's really an absurd concept when you examine it, because of all the other influences that are out there, spiritual aspects, You can think about many individuals who've had organ transplants that end up showing preferences of behaviors and memories and personality traits. There's an individual that I know that had a heart transplant, male, and the heart came from a woman that apparently liked to bake, and so that's what he likes to do now. It's very, very interesting. And then you have people with near-death experiences that seem to remember things, were conscious outside of their body. So there's a lot of evidence out there that there are information systems that are way beyond our individual scope, if you will, in terms of that. So if we contrast, have a medicalized death contrast with a natural death. The concept here is that we treat dying as a medical problem to be solved by aggressive technological interventions. So often prolonging life, maybe related to issues related to comfort and dignity and personal wishes. So the approach kind of frames death as a failure of the body or a defeat, prioritizing the maintenance of vital functions in highly clinical settings like intensive care units, where patients are frequently reduced to organs and lab results. In contrast, natural death, it might be viewed as an integral spiritual and social process where the focus shifts from curing to accepting the finality of life, often occurring at home or in settings that prioritize dignity and cultural rituals. So cultural shifts, we used to have a lot of families that were very close. We didn't travel a lot of places. The great-grandparents sometimes, grandparents, parents, children, grandchildren, all living in the same area, and we didn't have all the systems that we have now, and so individuals generally died at home. The family dug a hole and buried them, in the farm, or if they were in the city, that there was that process as well. But nonetheless, it was a process. Everybody knew what was going on. The individual that was dying, the family. So there's a key distinction between the two models, I think. The goal of a medicalized death aims at extension of life indefinitely through technology, whereas a natural death accepts the functional decline and aging as a natural trajectory. None of us really want to lose that function, but it's probably going to happen. So in this experience in the medicalized setting, we're often creating a depersonalized experience where clinical protocols override individual autonomy, while the natural death models prioritize dignity-based care led by companies or systems. So there's a lot of cultural context here is that medicalization is often associated with Western views of death as a failure, pardon, while natural death aligns with cultures that view dying as a natural transition or a spiritual journey. Some would even say that death is true healing, if you will, leaving this earthly body. So, and that's kind of an interesting concept, if you will. So, medicalized care is, in this country at least, profit-driven, fee-for-service. Obviously, there's a financial aspect that has to be satisfied with any particular service. But there's also the concept of natural death models perhaps hospice or dignity doulas that have community support for this dying process. So stay tuned for more health talk. We're going to continue with this and get into some other aspects, philosophical aspects, if you will. Stay tuned. This is Fred Lowry.
Doctor, my eyes have seen the years and the slow parade.
Welcome back to Health Talk. This is Fred Lowry, pharmacist and doctor of natural medicine, Lowry Drug in Statesville, North Carolina. Lowry Drug was established in 1959. We are a traditional family pharmacy with a state-of-the-art compounding laboratory. We offer a full line of medical equipment, supplies, including CPAP, scooters, lift chairs, and oxygen. We also offer a full line of supplements, herbs, nutritionals, essential oils, homeopathics, and more. Come see us. We have a few months ago put in the homeopathic line Oleus that is a non-lactose based product, homeopathic pellets that so a lot of individuals are enjoying that particular aspect in both in 30C and 200C potencies. So we're talking about perhaps the model of process of death and natural death, and so you can't talk about that without talking about bringing up hospice and the core philosophy of hospice treats death as a natural event rather than a medical failure. It aims to guide patients through the dying process peacefully without heroic measures, including CPR and mechanical ventilation. So the goal is not curative, but is palliative support, managing symptoms of pain, nausea, shortness of breath, etc. So making the transition as pleasant as possible, if you will. So with the patient experience there, by avoiding burdensome treatments, which really offer little hope, there are some that maybe do, but most individuals, the way I understand it, in terms of cancer treatments, is of an intervention to prolong life, not necessarily improve the quality of that life, and that can certainly be an issue for some. Let's see, 9 years ago, my father ended up with colon cancer that also involved the liver and the pancreas, diagnosed officially the 1st of November one year, and he died in September of the following year. He chose to not do any treatments, and I'm not sure that they would have been, well, I know they wouldn't have been effective, but certainly the misery of going through those treatments wouldn't be his choice. His choice was to have as comfortable a life as possible for whatever days he had left, and he was surprisingly active, still playing golf. The next year, up to the beginning of the summer, was actually mowing his yard in the summer. He died in September. He actually experienced very little pain, discomfort with some of the measures that we employed in support, and only had required pain management the last 2 days of his life, which had to do more with being bed weary from lying in the bed. And so the hospice people will provide him with subcutaneous morphine, extremely low dose, and made him very comfortable for the remainder of his life. So that's one aspect. It's certainly up to the individual to choose the route. I do think that sometimes individuals make choices for treatment because they want to satisfy their loved ones in terms of that concept of doing something. So, under the concept of life itself as a process of healing, as one moves toward death, I think we can all maybe relate to that in terms of things that come up and tribulations and things that we deal with. But that context suggests that life is fundamentally a process of transformation and healing, where we move towards death is not an end, but it's a catalyst for personal growth and perhaps liberation. So as we move towards that, the process of transformation allows individuals to perhaps let go of old patterns and identities, and paving the way for perhaps a rebirth, if you will, of a stronger, more adaptable self. And then there's healing through acceptance, embracing the inevitable of death, and the metaphorical death that perhaps occurs daily, which can be the end of relationships or careers, and helps people process grief and find inner spaciousness and a renewed sense of meaning. And then there's the spiritual and emotional liberation aspect that describes death as a healing process for the soul, where the unique energy of the individual reunites, and argues that committing to dying a good death initiates an action needed for living a good life in this world. And then there's the role of resistance. So resistance is never good for any of us. It just creates suffering, if you will. Resistance for what is. So accepting the cycle of life and death as a natural flow allows one to navigate that. Pardon me. So those are some of the things just to consider and reflect on. Under this topic, one of the things everyone recognizes is, or not everyone, but it's very important to come up with a healthcare power of attorney that can carry out your wishes when you're not able to make decisions. And certainly funeral plans may be included in that. It can be very liberating for an individual to go and make their own funeral plans. And I have took my parents at one time to the funeral home as their healthcare power of attorney, and they made their plans, and it was very, I think, liberating for both of them, and they were actually happy to have that aspect taken care of. So the healthcare power of attorney is basically a medical proxy, a person that can speak with your doctors, approve or refuse treatments, and make choices based on your wishes. The idea that you're not leaving your decisions to chance, you're naming someone who you already know is aligned with your values. And then advanced directives, written instructions about the kind of care, do you want life support, resuscitation, feeding tubes, that type of thing. So both of those matter, and having that documentation is useful because they actually cover different parts of the same problem. One of the documents names the decision maker, and the other one gives the person a roadmap. Pardon me. So both of these do matter. Planning for your death, the funeral, all of this can be very helpful for your mental state of being. Practical steps might be including coming up with your healthcare agent, writing down your medical wishes, sharing those with your family, your doctor, and keeping up with your key documents. And so stay tuned for more health talk. We're going to cover a little bit more about that. And
Doctor, my eyes have seen the years and the slow parade of fears without crying. Now I want to understand. I have done all that I could to see the evil and the good without hiding. You must help me if you can. Doctor, my eyes, tell me what is wrong, 'cause I'm unwise to leave them open for so long. 'Cause I have wandered through this world as each moment has unfurled. I've been waiting to awaken from these dreams. People go just where they will. I never noticed them until I got this feeling that it's later than it seems. Doctor, my eyes, tell me what you see. I hear their cries. Just say if it's too late for me.
welcome back to Health Talk. This is Fred Lowry, Lowry Drug in Statesville, talking about medicalized death, and just briefly a couple additional things to that. If you're approaching medical decisions, there's also this concept of informed consent, and that's a process where a patient, for legal or their legal representative is given clear information about proposed test or treatment, and freely decides whether to accept it. So it's a legal requirement and an ethical duty grounded in patient autonomy. So you are supposed to have the right to make healthcare choices. Obviously, some of that got circumvented in 2020, 21, maybe 22, but nonetheless, for this consent to be valid, three things must exist. It must be voluntary, no coercion. It must be informed of the risk and benefits that happen, and given someone with decision-making capacity. So you want to know what the problem is, the diagnosis, the nature and purpose of the intervention, the expected benefits, the possible risk, and any reasonable alternatives. So just so you know, if someone uses the comment of safety, this is safe. Safety in the medical world apparently does not mean absolute. It's generally recognized as being safe. And so there's a lot of historical treatments that were done in the past, some of them quite amazing, and I won't go into them, but you could just remember the concept of bloodletting. as that. So one of the things I would mention when we're talking about some of this is this human propensity to, when faced with a problem, we always think about the worst, and so just an everyday problem as an example, something doesn't work. And the place to start is it plugged in? Are the batteries charged? There's this tendency. The tendency is real for people to jump at the most complex explanation because the mind likes a complete story, and so even before just some simple first checks are made, we do something, and it's called complexity bias. We overthink. So we have this concept where we recognize patterns. The brain starts to build an explanation. We're coming up with ideas about it. And I think sometimes the worst thing that could happen is that, we actually voice some of these as we're around people because it doesn't sound very good overall. But complex problems feel more serious or more credible. And if you're under stress, it can make things worse. So, and this can really have an impact on health symptoms. So they can make health, just any symptom can make health symptoms feel more alarming, more mysterious, more urgency. And so, it could be anything, headache, muscle twitching, dizziness, maybe gets interpreted as evidence of a serious illness, and which increases anxiety and makes symptoms feel even stronger. So, people can get stuck in the loop of checking and researching. Here's a new term I ran across, cyberchondria, looking up your health issues, too much time on the internet. And so, one of the things I think about is any symptom can be caused by a multitude of different things. And the other thing about that is any toxicity can create a multitude of symptoms. So it's kind of interesting in that, we try to look at one thing, and it's there's this dichotomy of heavy metal poisoning. Mercury can cause all kinds of symptoms, and they may be different for other people. As an example, and just because you have a symptom of mercury toxicity doesn't mean that that's necessarily what it is. So, but at any rate, we skip over just common explanations. And I can tell you one of the things that is a big deal, as an example, hydration. If you look at all the things that hydration can cause, unbelievable. Particularly in older adults, your brain has a lot of fluid there. I think it's estimated at 65-70% water, and the fluid around your brain. So what happens if you're dehydrated? Mental confusion, brain fog, all kinds of things. There's so many things. Just basically, people not drinking enough water can cure. It's like, is the plug plugged in the wall? It's just that simple. Did you throw a breaker? That it started fundamentally with hydration. You could get into, are you getting enough light? Your food quality, your movement, your sleep, all these things. But fundamentally, if you're not properly hydrated, you can have any healthcare problem. You can create all kinds of things because the body needs water. And so this is just an example of how jumping to a conclusion about something and not really looking at whatever the exact symptom is, you can jump the gun with that. There is the psychology behind why your brain wants to jump to the more complex. This complexity bias is that we prefer explanations that feel more detailed and mechanistic, even when a simpler explanation is more likely. So the brain often confuses effort with value. So if an answer feels too easy, you may think, well, that can't be so. So your mind really kind of expects important problems to require a deep analysis. And so we reach for things that maybe are too deep. And stress makes it worse when you feel pressure. Your mind wants closure quickly, but becomes less efficient at sorting out priorities when you're under stress. So it also starts generating more possibilities instead of checking the most basic ones first. So just a thought, always try to look at the more simplistic aspects of this. One of the things that, in terms of brain function, that we'll wrap up with is, your brain really works best when you're well hydrated, and when there's all the neurotransmitters work better. You're able to deliver oxygen better, through hydration. What happens is you're dehydrated. Your body wants more of that fluid in the blood, and so it starts robbing other tissue of fluid so that you can maintain that blood flow. But that could be an issue, and it does affect certainly blood pressure. Once hydration declines, the nerve transmission slows, and information processing weakens. Even mild dehydration can impair attention, concentration, and mental clarity. You may extrapolate that into your kids with attention deficit. What are they drinking? Are they getting enough water? Dehydration affects mood, memory, so decreases reaction times. And the requirements change with stress and environment and age. Chronic dehydration can be associated with long-term neurological decline. People that get kidney stones or gallstones or gout, a lot of times you're just dehydrated. Dehydration can cause headaches, hormone imbalances. It just goes on and on. This is just a basic example of what happens when you don't look at the most simple explanation for taking care of yourself. So I hope this has been helpful to you. It's certainly a different type of subject, but nonetheless, I think it was important. Thank you for tuning in to Health Talk. Come see us at Lowry Drug, and have a great weekend.